All right, big news day, so let's get straight into it with the Australian's media writer Sophie Elsworth. Sophie, this whole boycott of Woolworths is heating up, but meanwhile, a mayor in Western Sydney has asked his council to hand out thousands of Australian flags for free. So finally, we've got some people demonstrating pride in this country.
Well, James, great to be here. And look, why not? Why shouldn't we be proud of our country? Why shouldn't we celebrate Australia Day? And I think people are getting sick and tired of being told what they can and cannot do. And I think this has only really given Australia Day even more oxygen, and people have been given more reason to celebrate because it appears that Woolworths doesn't want us to celebrate Australia Day. And shame on them for doing that. Let the consumer go into a store and choose what they want to buy. But they're making that decision for consumers by removing these items and not having them in stock. And I think people will see straight through this. I was listening to Talk Back today on this, James. A lot of callers ringing up really annoyed about this decision and saying they're taking their business elsewhere. So I think Woolies are pretty foolish at doing this, and I think it will only encourage Australians to get out there, get their Aussie flags, their Aussie thongs and their stubby holders, and have a great day on January 26th, James.
Are you going to wear a pair of Aussie thongs on January 26th, Sophie?
I'll be in the office that day, so I don't know if it's appropriate attire, but why not, James? Shouldn't we be proud to be Australians? Why is there constant shame on us as Australians? We have a great country. We should be proud of it, not bringing us down and making us feel bad about celebrating Australia Day.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I wonder if Woolworths have been a little caught out by the reaction. They're now being called Wokeworths.
Well, James, they've got a history of this. You saw their approach during the Voice referendum. Yep. Big W, which is part of their group, they were running the pro-yes voice messages in their stores. They had to pull that. There was so much backlash. Had they not listened to the vote against the Voice referendum, Australians did not want it. It was a resounding no. They are not listening. They're putting their fingers in their ears and ignoring consumers. And I think this will only get their backs up. And I reckon Coles might get a few more customers through their doors, James, in the coming weeks.
Yep, I reckon you're right, Sophie. Let's go to the ABC. Every day there's just more and more proof of how left it is, but not left enough, according to their staff. Today, Nour Haydar, a political reporter in the ABC's Parliament House Bureau, has resigned over concerns about the broadcaster's coverage of the war in Gaza. I wonder what her problem with the coverage is. But on top of that, she says the ABC doesn't treat their culturally diverse staff well enough. Now, Sophie, this comes right after Antoinette Lattouf, who was sacked from the ABC because of her anti-Israel posts on social media, claimed she was a victim of racism. So what is going on at the ABC?
Well, James, there's a big problem. Ita Buttrose and management have a big problem on their hands. They have a long list of people leaving that organisation and voicing their disgust on their way out. You only have to reel them off. Stan Grant, his wife Tracy Holmes left. She was disgruntled with the organisation. Antoinette Lattouf is now taking them to court. You've got a long list of people. And then Nour Haydar today. Now, I noticed just in the last hour or so, she's picked up a job at the Left Wing Guardian. Surprise, surprise.
Of course.
So on the day that it was announced she's leaving, she's already got a job at the Guardian. So I don't think many people will be surprised by that move. But look, the ABC are constantly box ticking, James. That's their requirements. They've got to meet all these different diversity targets. And it's backfiring on them. They've got staff in there saying it's not good enough, and there's a string of them, and they're leaving, and they're voicing their concerns on the way out. So they've got a problem here, and I'm sure we're going to see more of this in the coming months.
Some of these resignations could actually help diversity at the ABC because they might find room to employ, I don't know, a conservative commentator. Who knows? Let's talk about TikTok for a second, the social media giant. They've accused the coalition of waging a war against its users. after Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Macpherson threatened to name and shame Aussie companies who are using the platform's data tracking code. Now, this code collects users' phone numbers, email addresses, browsing histories, even their shopping habits. It's a bit rich of TikTok to accuse James Macpherson of waging war on users. Isn't that what TikTok do to their own users?
Well, TikTok are in absolute damage control here, James. They're picking their wrong target with Senator James Macpherson. He is all over this. And I think people, the 8 million or so Aussies that are on TikTok, should be very concerned about where their information and data is going. And this has put a real spotlight on it. And TikTok, Chinese-owned company, do not like this. So consumers should know where is their information going and who is accessing it. So I'm all for that. And I think Australians will be too. So I don't think they're going to stop James Macpherson in his tracks anytime soon, James.